is to celebrate how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ. And we would have missed completely if we did not acknowledge that it is Jesus Christ whom we worship today. He makes the love shared between Mina and Victor possible, and he is the one that gives hope for the future. We gather here in the presence of God to join Victor and Mina in holy marriage, which is instituted by God, kept in harmony by his commandments, blessed by our Lord Jesus Christ, and to be held in high honor among all people. So let us remember that God has established and sanctified marriage for the welfare and happiness of mankind. And he has declared that a man will leave his father and mother and will be joined as one with his wife. May I ask, who gives this woman to be married to this man?
Oh, my man.
Victor and Mina, you will now declare your intent to be joined together in front of God and all these witnesses. Are you ready? Yeah. Victor, will you have Mina to be your wedded wife? To live together in holy marriage? Will you love her, comfort her, honor and keep her, and forsaking all others, keep only unto her as long as you shall live? Mina, will you have Victor to be your wedded husband? To live together in holy marriage? Will you love him, comfort him, honor and keep him, and forsaking all others, keep only unto him, as long as you both shall live? We will now have a time to sing praises to God and acknowledge his goodness this day, if you would remain standing. And the words to How Great Thou Art are in your program. And you know what? I'm really not so worried about you today. But you guys are going to do great. And I believe in the God that protects, and I believe in both of you. And the Holy Spirit will guide you through. But if I were to give a few words of encouragement as you navigate the ups and downs of marriage, it would be not to make more commitments or to just work harder. And my encouragement and advice for you is to always be captured by the love of God. The verse that you've chosen is really so fitting. Above all else, love covers a multitude of sins. And the root behind that word, love, is that quintessential term agape, which is also used to describe God's all-consuming love for us. But how can you love one another with the same all-consuming love God has for you? I mean, come on, is that impossible? But the key to loving like God is really to be loved by God, to be consumed by his passionate affection and receive his unconditional acceptance. Because being loved by God allows you to be secure in who you are, a beloved child of God. Being loved by God takes the wind out of your desire to always be right. And being loved by God makes forgiveness so much more natural. Because when you're mindful of the amazing forgiveness you have in Jesus Christ, you're going to want to give it to each other. And so the key to loving like God is to be loved by God. But what is this love? In 1 John 4:10 it says, "This is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins." You know, I've been married only 5 years. And the first 4 years had been a bit honeymoonish. But this last year, I would say, has been the hardest year of our marriage. And the one immutable truth I've found is that I am extraordinarily selfish. And the longer we're married, the more selfish that I find myself to be, and the harder it is to really love my wife. And the irony in all this is that why is it hard to love someone that loves you back? I mean, I would say those of you who are married here might relate a little bit, maybe. But the love of God is this. Not that we love God, but that He loved us. I mean, we find it tough to love someone who loves us back. Who is this God that loves even when we don't love Him? I mean, that seems foolish. What fool would love someone who doesn't love them? What lunatic loves in the face of rejection, in the midst of ridicule and humiliation? And not only that, but He loves to the point of death. In Romans chapter 5, verse 8, it says, God demonstrates His love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. What kind of love is it? It's foolishness in the eyes of the world. But that's the love. And when we encounter that love, we cannot help but to be changed. And what we cannot help is for the love of God to turn our world upside down. Victor, you know, in those googly times of your courtship, does it not feel good and rather empowering to know that Mina loves you? Yeah? And Mina, do you not sense great security knowing that Victor adores and cherishes you? And when you see and experience your love for each other, don't life's struggles seem less daunting? Because that really is the power of love. And these are the times, but there will be ample time where you will not feel so loving. And days where you will not have the capacity to squeeze one drop of love out of a dry heart. And these are the times among all times where you will need to sprint back to the cross and rest and receive and be fueled by the love of God. The love of God that soothes a beaten spirit and sets you free from fear. The love of God that constantly whispers, even in the midst of selfish arguments, mindless mistakes, and bruised egos, that you are my child, you are my beloved, and I want you to be near me. And when you are captured by a love that didn't require your love in the first place, you can go back to each other and love even when you didn't feel it from each other in the first place. Your lifelong service to one another is not to make more commitments to each other, though commitments are important. It's not to work just a little bit harder, though hard work and perseverance are necessary. Your lifelong service to one another is to be captured and continually be captured by the love of God. To be enveloped by His all-consuming affection, so that you will be dying to love and forgive each other with the love and forgiveness you've been given. And allow this crazy, foolish, illogical love to be the beginning point of expressing a love that covers a multitude of sins. You will now make your vows to one another, so you would please face each other. Victor, would you repeat after me? I, Victor, take you, Mina.
I, Victor, take you, Mina,
To be my wife.
to be my wedded wife.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
For better, for worse.
For better, for worse.
For richer, for poorer.
For richer or poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
Till death do us part.
Till death do us part.
According to God's holy plan.
According to God's holy plan.
And with God's gracious help.
And with God's gracious help.
I pledge myself to you.
I pledge myself to you.
Mina, would you repeat after me? I, Mina, take you, Victor,
I, Mina, take you, Victor,
to be my wedded husband.
to be my wedded husband,
To have and to hold from this day forward.
to have and to hold from this day forward,
For better, for worse.
for better, for worse,
For
rich or poor,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death do us part.
to death do us part.
According to God's holy plan,
According to God's holy plan,
and with God's gracious help,
and with God's gracious help,
I pledge myself to you.
I pledge myself to you.
You have determined to seal your vows by the giving and receiving of rings. And rings are a sacred symbol signaling to others that you are in exclusive commitment to your Lord. The precious metal from which they are forged reminds you of the precious possession you have in marriage. And the infinite circle they form reminds you that your new relationship is never to end. May I have the rings? Victor, indicating your responsibility to Mina to receive her into your care and keeping, I give you this ring to place on her finger as both a symbol and promise that you receive her. Just as a ring circles her finger, so you are to encompass her with strength and protect her life. Victor, you are having Mina,
Mina,
this ring I give you
this ring I give you
as a constant reminder
as a constant reminder
of my abiding love and commitment.
of my abiding love and commitment.
Mina, indicating your responsibility to Victor to receive him into your care and devotion, I give you this ring to place on his finger as both a symbol and promise that you receive him. Just as this ring circles his finger, so you are to encompass him with strength and protect love. Victor, this ring I give you
Victor, this ring I give you
as a constant reminder
is a constant reminder
of my abiding love and commitment.
of my abiding love and commitment.
At this time, Victor and Mina will light the unity candle to symbolize their union in Christ.
Take my life and let it be consecrated.
For inasmuch as you both have consented together in marriage, and have made your vows before God and these witnesses, and have symbolized your vows by the giving and receiving of rings, I pronounce you husband and wife. Those whom God has joined together, let no one separate. Are you ready? All right. Victor, you may kiss your bride. Let's pray. Lord, you deserve all praise, and we thank you for being the truest example of love. I thank you for your love over Victor and Mina. And Lord God, I sense your pleasure here today. Your pleasure in Victor and Mina and your joy and your commitment to one another. Bless them today as they maneuver through challenges. Bless them as they serve and seek after you. And bless them as they grow closer with one another, as they grow close to you. And we also ask for your provision at the right time for little Victor and Minas, that you would give them the joy of having children and thus gain a greater glimpse of your heart. Thank you, Lord. You are so good, Jesus. Amen.
Just a quick announcement. If you have the directions to Beaujolais, the reception hall, from the invitation, they're actually a little confusing and incorrect. So if you look in your program, there's another set of directions. Those are actually the correct directions. It's a lot easier to follow from here. Mina and Victor will be there to greet you along with their families. So as soon as we're finished up here, if you could go straight over to the reception hall, they'll have drinks and appetizers serving there. Thank you.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. You know, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. and Mrs. Victor and Mina.